Hello guys, uh, we'll be starting with the live stream of our next question, which is question number 22, 22, which we say it is if r plus the first we write the given. So let's write the given. The given is r plus s is greater than 2t. Then the question is r is greater than t. That's the whole question, right? So r plus, this is the given. Okay, now let's take the first condition. The first condition says t is greater than s. So t is greater than s, fine, not a problem. So what it should, now since t is greater than s and r plus s is greater than 2t, two things are given. So now, so if we see here, this guy, it is greater than s at least, okay, but is it greater than r? That is one question that we don't know. So let's take one example. So let's take s is equal to 10 and it says that t is greater, so t is equal to 11. In that case, r plus 10 is greater than 2 into 11 is 22, right? And so that we get r is greater than 12. So r is greater than 12, t is 11, right? So definitely r is greater than t here. So we get a yes answer. Now let's take another example where these values are small. So, so let's take a negative uh, question, negative value. So let's take r, then let's take a value of s as -1, and we know t is greater than s is given. So let's take t is equal to 0. So in that case, r minus 1 is greater than 2 into 0 is 0. So r is greater than 1. So if r is greater than 1, definitely r is greater than. So we get a yes answer here also. Now let's take a fractional value, but since there is no division or multiplication, it should not make any difference and we will get a yes answer there also. So we get a yes answer here, we get a yes answer here. Now to get a no answer, we have to have a value of 2t that is very much larger than. So let's take two values where the s and t are very further apart. And let's take t is equal to 100 and s is equal to 0. Okay, in this case it is satisfying this condition, which is t is greater than s, and let's put it in the equation that is given. So r s is 0 is greater than 200, right? So r is greater than 200. r Actually t is 100, so this is a yes answer. So every time we are getting only yes answers, so a is definitely, 1 is definitely getting us the answer. Let's take condition number 2. Condition number 2 is r is greater than s. Now r is greater than s, let's take some value of r. Let's take r is equal to 100 and s is equal to 1. Then we put 100 plus 1 is greater than 2t. So in that case, 101 is greater than t divided by 2. That means 50.5 is, so t is smaller than 50.5. So since t is smaller than 50.5, what does that mean? Because r is 100 and s is, so is r greater than t? Here definitely r is greater than t. Okay. Now let's take another example where r is 10 and s is, is given as to be great smaller than r. So let's take s is 9. So if we take this, we get 10 plus 9 is greater than 2t, and this will become 19 by 2 is greater than t. So t is less than 9.5. Since t is less than 9.5 and r is equal to 10, so t is less than r. That means r is greater than t. We get S answer here also. We get S answer here also. Now, for no answer, let's take a negative value. It shouldn't make any difference though. Or we don't need to check because it is the same equation. So I will go for a D answer. Let's see. First one is sufficient. We can combine the given inequality in first statement by adding the two inequalities. So they've added two inequalities and they got R equal to T. Sufficient. Second also sufficient. Correct answer is D, right? Okay, so we did it by substitution. They did it by algebra. Sometimes algebra is fast, sometimes substitution is fast. This time substitution was a little slow, but yeah, we got the answer. Let's go for question number 23. If P is less than Q, is this is given, and what else is given? P is less than R. These are two things that is given. Then is PQR less than P? So question is PQR less than P, right? So let's take first condition. It says PQ is less than 0. So we have two things. We have P less than Q, P less than R, and we have PQ less than. So P and Q are opposite signs. So since P and Q are opposite signs and P is less than Q, so P is negative and Q is positive, then is given P is less than R, right? So P is less than R and P is negative. So R could be negative or positive, we don't know that. So we don't know about R from this first equation. So let's see whether we can prove anything. So here PQ into R. So PQ is negative, right? And R could be negative or positive, is less than negative. This is what it is now. So again, the magnitude, since Q is positive, the magnitude of this negative sign would be like would be maybe more negative. Cannot be less negative, right? Like since P and Q are opposite signs, P is negative basically, Q is positive. So if it is positive, either it is same magnitude if it is 1, but it could be non-integer and it could make it lesser. So the magnitude also we don't know basically. We just know the signs, which is minus, minus, and here if it is what happens if it is minus, if it is negative, minus into minus is plus, right? is negative and negative. This is the condition number 1. And when there is a condition number 2, then it is negative into positive, which is negative, right? Which is less than negative, we don't know here. So negative into negative will become positive here, and it's next and negative, we get a no answer. Negative into positive is negative, and negative is less than negative. It could be a yes answer or could be a no answer. This is definitely not sufficient. And the second one says P into R is less than 0. P into R, we know again uh, P is less than R. So again here P is less than R, so P is negative and R is positive. This is almost same as the previous one, so this will also be not sufficient. But if we combine, we will know that P is negative, Q is positive, and R is positive. So negative into positive will be less than negative. It could be, it would not be. Why I am saying that is, it is not given that PQR is an integer. So it could be like -1, and this could be uh, like 2, and 2 is less than -1. So it will become -4 is less than -1, and we get a yes answer. But if we have -1 into minus 0.5 into, sorry, into plus 0.5 into 1 minus into negative, that is -1. So this will become minus 0.5, which is not less than -1, is actually greater than -1. So we get a no answer. So the answer is E here. Let's see, what does it say? Okay, so there are a lot of tables. Answer is E, right? Awesome. So what does it say here is the question tells us PQ as, it tells us that P is less than Q and P is less than R. And then it asks whether the product PQR is less than P. Statement 1, insufficient. We learn from the statement that either P or Q is negative. But since we know the question that P is less than Q, P must be negative. That's the same thing that we did. And then it says to determine whether PQR is less than P, let's test the values PQ and R. Our test values must meet two conditions. P must be negative and Q must be positive. So they have taken some values and they have got some P and Q yes or no answer. Similar approach they followed and they got yes or no answer. And now we look at these statements together. They get a yes answer because they know they here get a yes answer, but they get a no answer also in both of them. Definitely, it is not sufficient. It says that at first glance it may appear that you'll always get yes answer, but don't forget to test out fractional decimal values. That's what we get. And the problem never specifies P, Q, and R must be integers. Okay, let's take question number 24. So question number 24 is 5 power n less than 0.04? So this is a very easy question. It says that 5 power n is less than 0.04. But since it involves fractions and exponents, it becomes very time consuming. So let's see. First we have taken, yeah, there is no given, this is just a question. Yes and no answer. Please excuse me. Yes, I am back. There was some noise in the background. So what happens now is 5 power n is less than this. So your yes and no answer. So let's take first one, which is 1 upon 5 power n is greater than 25, right? So yeah, n would be negative for sure in this one, right? And so if n is negative, whether we get this value. So 0.04, if you know what it is, if you want to make it into this form, it would be like 5 power n is less than 4 by 1 0. That is zero point 0.4. Another 0. That is 0.04, which is nothing but 1 by 25. So it is almost equivalent to 5 power n is less than 1 by 25. It is asking this. N is less than 1 doesn't prove anything. N could be equal to 0, and in that case 5 power 0 is less than 1 by 25, which will become 1 is less than 1 by 25, and this is a no answer. But if I take something like 1 by 25 is 0.004, right? Let's take S has to be less. So 5 power minus 3 would be 1 upon 1 upon 125, which is 1 by less than 1 by 1. So we get a yes answer. So this is not sufficient. I should get an A answer for this. So yeah, it is a answer. Awesome. Let's take do you get the solution that says that in the problem involving variables of exponents, it's helpful to rewrite the equation in inequality exponential terms, and it especially helpful if possible to rewrite them with an exponential term that has the same base. So they have written this in 5 power minus 2. So you can rewrite the equation as is 5 power n less than 5 power minus 2. So which is right. Now the only way 5 power n could be less than, however, 5 power minus 2 would be n is less than minus 2. You can rephrase the question as n 9 less than minus 2. Okay, let's simplify and rephrase the inequality of the given statement. So 1 upon 5 power n is also there. Then the same thing, we have done it in a different way, which is a little easier way, I thought. And the second one is insufficient because n by n cube is smaller than n square. Means if n is either negative or negative number or a fraction between 0 and 1, which can we cannot tell if n is smaller than minus 2. So yeah, another approach basically. Let's take question number 25. This video has not become very long. It's 22 minutes. We have question number 25. Let's take question number 25. So question number 25, it says p square q is greater than pq square. So p square q, there is no other information. So first thing is given that p and q are opposite signs. So p and q are opposite signs. It could be like negative and q could be positive. So what happens in both the conditions? Let's see. In this case, p square q is greater than, so and p is negative, this will become p square q is positive, and then this is positive is greater than negative into positive, right? So this will be positive is greater than negative, which we get a yes answer. Let's take another one which says that p square q, so this will become p is positive and q is negative. So in that case, p square becomes positive, q is negative, and this is greater than p is positive and negative. Okay, so this guy was negative, positive, negative. Yeah, positive, negative, right? Positive, negative, positive, and this negative become positive. So negative is greater than positive is a no answer. So we get a yes answer, we get a no answer. But do we get a conclusive answer? So this is not sufficient. Let's take number 2. Condition number 2 says p is less than O. So if p is less than, that means p is negative. So if p is negative, then q could be either positive or negative. So let's say when p is negative and q is positive, we will get negative square is positive, and then uh, q is positive is greater than negative into positive. So we get positive is greater than negative, which is yes answer. And then we take P is positive and Q is negative. So in that case, we will get positive into negative is greater than positive into positive. So that becomes negative is greater than positive, we get a no answer. Now if we combine, we will get that P is negative, which and Q is positive. So we will get C answer. Very easy actually. Should not take this much time. Yeah, so it is done. Let's take the next question, number 26. Question number 26 says M is greater than N. Yes or no, right? So no other given. So first one says that N minus M plus 2 is greater than 0. So what does that mean? So that would sorry, trying to choose something which is actually pink. Not more like purple. Okay, right. So N minus M is greater than 2. What we can do from this? We can take some values. M is greater than N. So here this guy will be a negative. This is a positive. I'm just taking an example. But this is like 2 and we don't know anything about it. We can do one thing and then minus M is greater than minus 2 and we can make M minus N is less than 2. So here M is greater than N. So this guy will be positive, but how much positive? Whether it is greater than 2. So if it is positive, basically if it is positive, it is if it is great if it is less than 2, right, basically. So it could be M is greater than N or could not be, because it could be like 1 minus 1 is less than 2 also, because it is 0. So they are equal, so you get a no answer. But it could be 10 minus 1 is, sorry, you can less than 2, right? We just need to, so okay, it could be 10 minus 9 less than 2, which is 1 less than 2. So we get a yes answer. This is definitely not sufficient. Let's take another one which says n minus m minus 2 is greater than 2, which is n minus m is greater than 2, and m minus n is less than minus 2. So less than minus 2, right? So m can be again has to be less than minus 2 only, so it can become minus 3 minus of minus 5 less than minus 2. So in this case, minus 3 plus 5 then minus 2. Okay, this no answer we got is some issue. Okay, I'll redo the question. I think I missed this. I will just delete this and we'll do it in the next one more video. I'll just start. This has become too long. Why is this guy not getting selected? Okay, ciao for now.